Hi, I'm Score. I'm here with my co-host Jahanzeb. This is episode 14 of Players vs. Platinum. Today we are going to talk about how trophy hunting has changed over the years. And we won't do that alone. We have a special guest on this podcast for the first time, Mode 47, everyone. He is a first wave trophy hunter. That's why he is here. He got his first platinum 7 months before I even got my first trophy. And that was, I think, in May of 2009. And so we need to have him on this conversation. And yeah, thanks for being here, Mode. I have little to no experience from that time period, so he has valuable insight. And I'm throwing around first wave, second wave, third wave trophy hunting. Let's discuss these terms. Jahanzeb, where are you on the scale?
I am very much a third wave trophy hunter. I jumped on the platinum bandwagon in pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
So I think my first trophy was 2010 on the PS3, obviously, but my first platinum was 2021. So I just think we had more time on our hands. Obviously, people were working from home. People couldn't go out, especially in the UK. So I got into it there, and then just fell into this trap.
A trap of trophy hunting. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it's kind of okay. I would consider myself a second wave trophy hunter because I started in 2015 to 2016 with my second platinum Until Dawn. Obviously, I have told that story many times before. The PS4 was my console to start on. But as a first wave trophy hunter, the trophy hunting began on the PS3, right, Mode?
Yeah. 2000 and I think it was 2008, maybe early 2009. Because when I bought the PS3, trophies weren't even out yet.
Yeah.
Xbox had achievements, right? Xbox had their achievements, but it was a pipe dream for me. So I was looking across the pond, so to speak, seeing Xbox with their party chat and their achievements, and I was like, wow, that looks pretty cool. But even then I had loyalty to PlayStation because of PS2. I had a PS2 and that's where all my gaming was, but obviously there wasn't a digital library at the time, so it could have gone any way. And Xbox did look a bit more appealing because they had achievements, and I was like, they sound pretty cool. But no, we stuck with PS3, and then, as you all know, the trophies came out, and I was there, downloaded the patch on the first day, and on Super Stardust, but that wasn't my first trophy at all. I didn't look at it. I didn't get a trophy until, as you know, Score Battlefield Bad Company 1 called Get Me Started. So it turned out all right with that trophy name, I think. I really like it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. It's like a big thumbs up as well, the icon.
Yeah. So my first question is, when did you both start to engage in the community? Because I was very isolated. I had no one to talk to about gaming in general and trophy hunting as well. And I scrolled through my Reddit history because I remember finding the community, I think, 6 years ago. So in 2020 or so, I made my first post on the Reddit r/trophies, and that was my kind of awakening. What were the early days? Were you isolated mode? And did you have someone to talk to, or when did that happen?
That's a cool question. I would say I had friends on the internet who were into it, and some very close local, like, best friends who were also interested. Ooh. So I was in a lot of multiplayer clans. I still am, actually. I don't just play PlayStation, I play PC. I was in Counter-Strike clans, Unreal Tournament, Quake 3 Arena, Red Orchestra, a very old World War II mod for Unreal as well. So and Guild Wars, which is like my slice of MMO. So all throughout those years, I was meeting loads of people in forums and whatever, and a lot of them were completionists, and they kind of became trophy hunters as well around the same time, when they were like, "Oh wow, this is pretty cool." Because in a lot of games, especially Guild Wars, there was a big completionist side of things, and that's where a lot of my kind of trophy hunting habits, I suppose, come from. So all my friends there in community were like big into trophies. So yeah, it kind of started from there from the get-go. As soon as that patch came out, everyone was like, oh yeah, neat. It's like Xbox achievements. But you got a platinum for getting everything rather than a number that just built up on achievements. And that's always been a bit of a conversation, has it? What do people prefer? A number or like the completion trophy for getting everything? And I think we know the answer to what we might prefer.
Yeah. What about you, Jahanzeb? When did you start to engage in the community?
I think not long after I got my first platinum, I kind of went down the rabbit hole. And at that point, I didn't really use Reddit. I didn't even know really what it was, to be honest. I'd obviously heard of it. And I wasn't even that big into YouTube, if I'm being honest. So I think I started going on the r/trophies Reddit. And I thought, okay, this is cool. Found some people who are also into this. I didn't realize how bigger it was. And then I remember I got stuck on, I don't know what trophy it was, but I got really stuck and I had to watch a video. So I typed it into Google, and then the YouTube video came up, and I was like, oh, I'm so lucky that someone made a YouTube video about this trophy. I just thought I got so lucky. Didn't realize there was a whole like infrastructure behind it. But yeah, I think 2021, probably a month or two after getting the first platinum, I started really on Reddit, posting my platinums, the mosaics thing. YouTube took over, and then I don't go on Reddit trophies anymore.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
I agree on that. So I remember looking at the weekly visitors, and I think it was around 80,000, which was huge for me, that number, right? Because I was a single dude without any friends or anything, and there were almost 80,000 people talking about trophies, sharing screenshots, asking questions and whatnot. And now it has grown to 169,000 or some weekly visitors, I think. So that's crazy how much it grew within a couple of years. So it's exploding. I agree. The next question I kind of want to discuss, I hear, obviously, trophy hunting has become more a public topic. Developers have caught on to us, and now making trophies that are easier. And sometimes it feels like platinum hunting or trophy hunting has become somewhat a participation sport, and trophies getting handed out for participating. What are your terms on that? Would you agree, or is that just my perception? Mo, what do you think?
There's definitely that side of things, isn't there, which is unfortunate. I think your normal run-of-the-mill, cool developer will try and make a fun and engaging trophy list. There's the odd trophy that's a bit of a pain. It's like, why did they include this? Who there hates trophy hunters, right? But yeah, cashing in on the quick platinum is certainly, some developers are completely based around that, aren't they? And my opinion of that is I stay away from games from that. I'm not a quantity trophy hunter. I don't care much for them, but I don't mind people who want to go for them. I have people in the comments all the time. It's like, I have over the platinums, and they're very proud of that number. I'm like, fair play to you, mate. I'm happy for you. It's just something personally for my trophy hunting journey I'm not interested in. I like challenges. I like the franchises I love or new IPs I'm interested in. And then the trophy list elevates that. So because of what I'm interested in, the trophy lists I experience are usually catered to a well-rounded experience rather than just giving you a platinum because you bought the game. So that's kind of where I stand on it, I would say.
Johansa?
I mean, even in my 5 years of trophy hunting, I think trophy platinums have got easier. I think there is a conscious effort from developers to kind of make an accessible, easier platinum. There's even interesting examples of when they remake or remaster games, like The Last of Us 1 PS3, PS4 platinum is quite intense. It's not overly difficult, but there's a lot involved. Multiplayer, you have to play the hardest difficulty. The remake of The Last of Us Part 1 on PS5, you could really seriously do it in a day. Like if you started at like 8 a.m., you could probably finish the entire platinum in one day on very easy mode. And even recently, Resident Evil Requiem obviously came out, and you've platinumed its score. I'm like 2-3 trophies away, and I was also surprised that was a bit soft for a Resident Evil platinum. They're quite demanding, but
I didn't actually buy Requiem because, and I'm a massive Resident Evil fan, Johannes. I love Resident Evil. It might be the franchise I have the most platinums in. I made a conscious decision to kind of see what the reviews were like and see what the platinum were like. And it was like people were popping the platinum in 2 days, 2 days, 10-hour game. And I was like, I can't drop full price on that. I have to wait. So I kind of feel guilty for that decision. But yeah, that's a perfect example of, Resident Evil, the old plats, what used to be very, very difficult.
And obviously there is a difference between easy games with easy platinums and shovelware. So my question for the both of you is, do you remember your first easy platinum or game with easy platinum that you consciously bought and played for an easy platinum? So mine was in 2018 after the hardest thing I had done to that point. It was Uncharted, the playthrough on crushing difficulty that really broke me, and I wanted something very easy, and so I looked up games with easy platinums, and I found Rime, and Rime does look very beautiful, and it is an easy plat. I think I got it in a day. And for the longest time I didn't mind, but now this is the moment where I started to look into easy trophies or easy platinums. Do you remember your games, your first game that was like that? It doesn't have to be shovelware or anything, but an easy platinum you snuck into to keep the dopamine going mode, for example.
Yes, very well. And I was smiling throughout that because it just came into my head like instantly. It was literally Terminator Salvation. Have you played that?
Yeah, PS3. Yeah, I got the platinum for that. It's like 11 trophies, isn't it?
All right, so do you ever convince yourself like, I'm going to play this because I want to play the game, not because of the trophies? Have you ever tried to convince yourself of that? Because that's what I tried to do with this game. It is atrocious. It's pretty bad. But I love Terminator, so I was like, I love the franchise. It's fine. But going into it, I knew it had, and this is the first game I knew of this, and it's got a 52% ratio, by the way. But it's got, it's one of those platinums with like 10 or 11 golds, no other trophies. Yeah. That's kind of, in my view, that's like a red flag for maybe being like a bit of a grubby, easy platinum. And that's kind of how I view it. And it's the only reason I played it. And that was like my 15th platinum. So I didn't even, last that long in the grand scheme of things. It didn't take me that long to cave in and be like, yeah, let's get another platinum. So yeah, definitely Terminator Salvation in 2011 for context as well.
Wow.
Yeah, I've got that game as well. I also love Terminator, but I did get the game knowing this is an easy, straightforward platinum and another PS3 platinum to add to my collection. I think my one would probably be, I mean, if I look at my first 15 platinums, they're all kind of easy platinums per se. They're like Far Cry games, Hitman, etc. But the first game I kind of went for, knowing it was an easy platinum and a shorter one, was a game called Shady Part of Me. This was like the 13th, 14th platinum. This was when I kind of didn't know what games to platinum next, and I think I started finding YouTube videos of like good games to platinum, and this was one of them. This was a rough period, probably between platinum 12 and 25, where I started playing some crappy games, and I kind of eventually went back on track.
A bit of turbulence, yeah.
So the next question I have is, trophy hunting is more accessible than ever, right? With text guides, with roadmaps, with video guides, with full playthroughs, even platinum walkthroughs. What are your thoughts on that? Was it that convenient when you started mode, or yeah?
My first platinum was Resident Evil 5, and when about the time that came out, I remember there being good guides, because that's quite a nice, it's like a classic all-rounder platinum, right? You've got collectibles, you've got your harder difficulties, a few multiple playthroughs, even a co-op trophy or two, so it's kind of got every facet of a modern platinum, you know, what I consider to be quite a nice platinum, which I think is coming up later, isn't it? So I remember some good guides then, and Battlefield Bad Company as well, my first trophy. I remember some good guides for the multiplayer kind of trophies. I mean, I remember looking up Ludi XP for Uncharted and, you know, stuff like that. So yeah, I do remember from the get-go people were like embracing it quite nicely, video-wise, not really guide-wise. I can't remember when guides were a thing, you know, when well, even when PSN profiles started to take off. It used to be really, as Jan said a little earlier, like looking up a video and being surprised there's a video tutorial for that trophy you're looking for. Like, I'd be happy with that back in the day. But now it's like everything's dissected within 2 days and there's a guide up and everyone knows how to do everything. So it's such a different environment. So that's interesting, I think.
Did you remember your first guide, usage of a guide at Jahan's app, or is
there, in terms of like the traditional guides like PSN?
Yeah, or even videos, you know? I mean, because Mode said something along of Ludi XP, and yeah, she was the first guide I watched on YouTube. For Uncharted crushing difficulty. She had made a video about the brutal difficulty, and I was fine. Okay, let's start with crushing, and it was crushing. So I was very happy about that video, especially the tactic that you don't get in cover, but you stand behind the pillar without cover, and then your aim is slightly next to it, and that way you could shoot without being hit at the same time. I remember that was the first big moment of a video guide.
I think I found a video for Far Cry, maybe 6, and it was one of those videos. This is the one I referred to earlier, but it's one of those where someone's captured it and there's no talking or nothing. So they literally just show you how to get this particular trophy. But that was fine. I think my first written guide, I think my third game was Days Gone, which I do love. And I think I was just Googling like Days Gone Platinum, how hard is it? Or just things like that. And I think I then accidentally found the big sites like the Power Picks and PSN profiles. And I was like, oh my God, it kind of opened up a whole different world.
Gateway, yeah, that's interesting because obviously from a third, what's your term score? Third wave trophy hunter?
Yeah. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah. No, it's good. It's good. I like it. So, yeah. So Jay was saying, all this stuff exists already. Whereas when I started, it was kind of people just starting to embrace that side of things.
Yeah. Yeah, for me as well. So I'm in the middle of that. And I remember that I sometimes had to really research my guides and how hard is the platinum, and I found different sites. There are so many of them, and now I only go to maybe 3 of them, mainly PSN profiles and then YouTube, and then I have 3 guide makers on YouTube: Mecha, PowerPix, and maybe OptiNoob, the 3 big names. And all of that is, I'm fine with that. It's all served with these 3.
I still use game FAQs, the text-based ones. I love that.
That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
So old, so good. I mean, that comes from my trying to look up Resident Evil, look up stuff, in the 2000s is game FAQs. So I still like game FAQs, especially with like the PS2 re-releases. They still pop up, things like that. Like Tomb Raider Anniversary the other day, I got the platinum for. I don't know why. I just wanted to play a Tomb Raider game. And it was a game FAQ guide that I used for the collectibles and the ones I needed. So yeah, that was kind of a nice little throwback for me.
Yeah. We kind of touched on that question with the developers doing more easy platinums, but also maybe the other way around, making it harder, intentionally harder. For example, I feel like PS3 platinums are way more difficult than modern games. And what, in your opinion, Mo, what makes PS3 platinums more difficult than more modern platinums?
I think they were looking at an angle like only people who love completion are going to do these trophies, because it wasn't as wildly accepted, as today, as we were saying, Res Evil easy platinum for Requiem, and Tekken 8, the easiest Tekken platinum in existence. That's a franchise I know a lot about. But then you get games like God of War, where the newer ones aren't like, I played God of War 2018 recently on the platinum, and I found that pretty difficult compared to some of the earlier platinums. So sometimes it's a bit of a toss-up. I think to answer your question, I think they were just catering more to what they perceived as a hardcore audience who liked completion. And they were like, well, let's give them something to work for a lot of the time. Whereas now it's more accepted. The community's bigger than ever. It's a more accepted part of the game. And they've realized people feel good when they get these little in-game achievements. So I think there's a kind of a bit of an agenda to make it a little easier, make people feel a bit better about doing this kind of stuff. My favorite approach is to include an easy list, sure, but then maybe add DLC for like some really hard, like the Uncharted remastered collections, which I don't have. A lot of their harder trophies are part of DLC, aren't they? Optional.
Yeah.
That's a kind of cool approach, I think, but I don't really know the answer what would be best. I like a good platinum that lasts a while, so I feel like I get my money's worth, and that has a decent challenge. That's kind of my preference. But yeah, PS3 games are definitely harder, like without a doubt.
And what is your opinion on the fact that, yes, platinums have become easier, Jahanzeb, but also more time consuming? Would you agree with that? And is that a good thing?
I would agree with that, because especially over the last year and a bit, I've done my most grindiest trophies ever, and I can like now name. Oh, my camera's gone weird. I could name like a top 5 most grindiest trophies that I've ever done. So I think it's something you said to me was that developers use hours played quite a lot in terms of getting games funded and kind of as a signal of success. So they put in these grindy trophies so that they can say, look, these people have spent 80 hours on our game or whatever. So if this is all true, then I think that's part of it. Because recently I've played a lot of platinums where, I think like Warhammer Space Marines I moaned to you last year, the platinum's straightforward, but then there's one trophy to kill 41,000 enemies. And when you do everything in the game, you end up with like about 10,000 kills. So it's like, great, now you're going to get 20, 30 hours out of me by just grinding these kills.
That's interesting because I think there's a trophy that's literally for that design as well. Like, you know, artificially extended the playtime
Yeah.
for playtime. And my example for that is what's it called? Darksiders. Anyone play Darksiders?
Yeah.
There's a horse trophy in the first one where you have to travel a certain amount of distance. And you know, completing the game, doing everything other than that trophy takes, you know, however long. And then you've literally got to rubber band your controller to ride around on your horse for this final trophy. And I just thought, I left it overnight. I was like, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. There's not enough to do in the game to warrant this distance, you know, unless you really like the environment and you just want to run around a lot. But you know what I mean? So there's definitely trophies that like artificially extend the duration. And on one side, I like that because, you know, trophies, by definition of what they are, they allow you to see every facet of a game, which I really enjoy. But sometimes it's a bit overkill, isn't it, with trophies like that?
Yeah. Okay, next question. How do you feel about... Oh, sorry. No, that's not the question. How has your... Yeah, okay. How has your own perception changed of your hobby from the beginning of now? From the beginning to now mode? Are there specific moments where you thought, okay, this feels different now?
Yeah, I think I'm more conscious about completion ratio now than I ever was. I wasn't before, but I'm not sure if that's with the popularity of PSN profiles or what. But now my trophy hunting is about probably ultra rare platinums and completion ratio on the back catalogue. They're the two things I enjoy about the hobby. Whereas before, it kind of was just finding any platinum I wanted to complete, whether I liked the franchise or wanted to give something a go. My earlier trophy list has a lot more random, like one-offs, I'd say, just because I fancied the look of the game because it was on Plus or whatever. But nowadays, it's like, oh, a new God of War is out. I want to add that to my collection because of all my pre-existing platinums. And it's less about trying things, you know, as bad as that sounds.
Wow.
I was still interested in new IPs and stuff, but I really got to like myself really got to enjoy the look of the game and the vibe of it. And but thankfully the flip side of that is there's so much information about games online. Even the trophy list we're able to see with Exophase and whatever, or whoever gets the trophies first, we're able to see the list, hopefully without spoilers, a few days before we can pre-order it even. So that's a lot different as well. We have a lot more information that we have.
What about you, Johansep? Do you remember some moments that felt different afterwards? Or
I think last year I became more obsessed with 100%ing games and completion percentage. I think before it was just about getting the platinum and I just left it. I had no interest in DLC. Also, they cost money, obviously. But now with games that I really like, I've kind of trying to go back and 100% them. So now I don't look at it as just getting the platinum. I view it as trying to get the whole 100%. That's a big perception that's changed.
Yeah, I think I touched on my first perception before. It's the moment when I joined the community and had other people to talk to about my hobby, and then a big change was more difficult platinums, and the recent change is the biggest after almost or more than 10 years. It's the quality. I don't look at the roadmap of a platinum as much. I definitely add a mandatory playthrough, blind playthrough, to my experience, because that is what it is all about. I think I kind of lost that in the middle of my journey a bit when I just looked at easy platinums and numbers and like that and stuff like that. And so yeah, that's a big shift. Yeah, okay. Another question that I'm very interested in. what is better now than back then? What has improved more? Maybe. Do you have something?
Definitely like guides and information gathering has improved. Maybe in-game tracking as well. There weren't many in-game trackers back in the day. I don't know why this literally slams into my head as soon as I said that, but Infamous 1, you couldn't track the shards. Like, where the
Oh,
hell?
yeah.
There's like, 300, however many shards to find. I was clicking R3 like it was, like it was anything, running around trying to find them in
Yeah.
Infamous 1 on the PS3. And now there's kind of, you break it down by region and you can see the collectibles, and it's not only easier, it's more convenient and it respects my time more. I feel like modern games, maybe that's hand in hand with Platinum's being easier, but it's convenience rather than, it's accessibility, I think, rather than difficulty. That quality of life has improved. I think that's my main answer for that question. Just in general, in-game tracking and things like that.
Does something come to mind for you, Jahanzab? What has changed? What is better?
I didn't do enough first wave. I mean, I'll probably pick on the controller.
No, but you what has improved? What has improved from the beginning to now? Then what is more comfortable? You started on the PS4 as well.
I'd probably agree with Mode on the point of like collectibles that tracked a bit better in game as regions. I think God of War breaks up the regions very well and tells you what's done and gives you a percentage. I think that's a lot better. Kind of in
Still
menus,
struggled with that.
Yeah, in menus you can see how many side missions you've done or contracts you've done, and you know how many you've got left. Whereas I think before it was like if you didn't remember or write it down, you're just gonna have to keep going until the trophy pops. So I think information availability has got much better.
Okay. Yeah, I can see that. Although I get some games don't allow you to track for example, in Resident Evil 9, the raccoons. I was so furious. I could track the documents and everything, and they were lined up in the menu, and I could exactly figure out which one I was missing. But the raccoons, man, I had to guess, and fortunately, I found a way and had a right instinct. Okay, so for me, this question is definitely loading times. Since I have my PS5, the loading times has been great, and I remember the loading times for the PS4, not even the PS3, but the PS4. The loading times sometimes were insane, and that's a big change. The PS5 feels more convenient. Yeah, I would agree with the convenience aspect of it. And the next one I have is game availability through PSN. It's so much more convenient. You have more access to games. Physical has gone away a little bit. So I don't have any GameStop or any game store where I can buy games anymore. Only the big chains, and they have the major games, right? The Call of Duties, the FIFAs, the big names. But yeah, the physical aspect, that is not as good anymore, unfortunately. And I was
that makes me really sad. That does.
Yeah, I remember that I was looking for a copy of Resident Evil, and I went to all the stores in my surroundings in the city, and none of them had a physical copy around 1 week after release or 2 weeks after release of Resident Evil, one of the biggest games of the year. And I was like, man, shit, I think something has changed. And
yeah, it's crazy.
It's sad.
I'm a bit of a collector, so I class myself as an opportunist collector. I buy things if it's cheap enough and if I really want it, kind of thing. A lot of my stuff is from CEX, from visiting on lunchtime, and like, oh, that's nice, I'll get that. But even CEX, you notice a decline in the older sections, which kind of makes sense as a business. You're moving on to more modern stuff, but the PS3 section gets smaller and smaller and becomes more more retro. You know, I think a lot of PS3 games are considered retro this year because I think the definition for retro is like 20 years old or something, you know, collectible wise. So 2006, 2026, it's, yeah. So that's kind of crazy. And yeah, PS5 physical editions, there's just, the box art just isn't very interesting to me. They don't come with instructions anymore.
Yeah.
Which is really sad. You know, I love a good instruction manual. So I just kind of just focus on PS1, PS2, and PS3 stuff. I'd say the steelbooks have gotten a lot better, though, on PS5. PS3 steelbook isn't very cool. It's like a slab with a column on it. But the PS5 ones are really cool and unique.
It's a bit of an inside joke, but what are your thoughts on the PlayStation controllers over the years mode?
I mean, this might be a unique perspective, but as a fighting game player, you know, my favorite genre, I hate the DualShock 5. It is the worst D-pad in the history of PlayStation, I think. And maybe it's the way I play, which isn't very well and very heavy-handed, but I have destroyed multiple controllers from mashing and not being very good. I don't even know where I've got PS2 next to me. Oh, here it is. So I've got a separate fighting game controller. It's called a Commander. Look at that button layout.
I've seen those. Yeah.
They're sick, honestly. And this D-pad is interchangeable, and it's got the analog stick on the right, which is like a hex gate. So I don't use the normal PS5 controller mostly. I mean, we would use this for some ordinary platformers, but the left analog is a lot different. You see how small it is? That smaller one. And that's mainly for menu selection in fighting games. So yeah, I don't get along with the PS5 controller with fighting games, but everything else I really enjoy it. DualShock 4 has probably been my favorite because that's kind of all-rounder good for everything. I like the weight of it as well. It's a lot lighter. I didn't realize I had so much to say about controllers. I got a lot of feelings about it.
Yeah, it's good to have you because that is a perspective we both, Jans and I, don't have. And what are your thoughts on controllers over the years? Hands up.
They've got better and better. Yeah, I really don't. Oh, that's awesome. I don't like, as you know, the PS3 controller. It's kind of one of the big stumbling blocks with cleaning up my PS3 backlog. But
PS3, you don't like it?
I don't like it. It's too small. It's just too. It
is tiny. It is insanely tiny.
It's too small. You just get all cramped up. Yeah. PS5 controller is quite, I guess, heavier than the PS4 one, but I love the PS5 controller. It's my favorite controller of all time.
I really like it. I do like it a lot. It's just specifically for fighting games, the D-pad is a bit lacking for me.
It comes out more, doesn't it? It protrudes more. Like it's not.
But there's professionals who prefer to use the PS. You know, professional tournament players who play primarily on the PS5 controller. So it's a complete like personal preference thing.
Yeah, I used to love the PS3 controller. Then I got the PS4 controller, which was much better because my hands are bigger and it fits better. And now I'm so used to the PS5 controller that I can't make a decision on whether I like the PS4 controller more or the PS5 controller. The thing is, I still have my PS3 controller, which is very good. The quality seems okay. I think I have two PS3 controllers. One has a R1 button. It isn't working anymore, so I'm glad I have two. But I had to replace one PS4 controller and one PS5 controller, both with stick drift, because of stick drift. And so the PS3 controller is more durable, but from the size and the layout and everything, I think I prefer the PS5 controller the most. But the PS4 controller was very
I've had
good.
too many PS5 controllers go, and not even fighting games considered. My partner plays a lot of games as well. You know, we play Battlefield or whatever multiplayer games we're playing. She's gone through a couple of controllers, which I feel are a bit more than maybe, you know, they should go, you know?
Yeah.
I still like them. It hasn't deterred me. It's like, well, and what choice do you have? You know,
Yeah, what? Yeah, you want to play games, you gotta have a controller.
you can have any controller you want as long as it's a DualShock PlayStation 5.
Yeah. Okay, what's the next question? Old school trophy list versus modern trophy list. What are some classic trophies in both lists, maybe, and what's a different type of trophy? Mode, does something come to mind, or
I feel like older games have more rounded, and they just feel classic. Like you got your collectible side of it, difficulty, misc. You know, it's very easy to kind of lay it all out. Whereas newer lists, I feel like have a bit less than that, a bit less like challenge runs, maybe. I'm not sure. I'm also someone who does buy new games, but then I leave them for years. And normally, you know, I'm not usually someone who buys a new game, sits down and plays it and gets the platinum within the week. I do like to let them breathe a bit, even to the point where I do a playthrough and then I'm like, I'm happy with that, I'll leave it. And then I return to it years later. So my view on it is a bit skewed, maybe. But I feel like older lists maybe have a more rounded variety, you know, collectibles, challenge runs, misc, difficulty. Again, I'm thinking like Resident Evil 5, Uncharted, Infamous. They're all kind of that kind of trophy list, aren't they? And newer games, not too sure. The newest games I play are like Monster Hunter and fighting games, so they have like very different trophy lists compared to others anyway. So yeah, probably like to hear what you guys think about that.
does something come to mind, Jahanzab? Or should I go for it?
I feel like the first generation always had like a difficulty run, a difficulty playthrough, whereas that's just not guaranteed now. I think if there was something hard to do in a game in the PS3 era, there'd be a trophy for it, which means you'd have to engage with it. Whereas maybe more with modern games, the trophy list will be quite safe and easy, but there'll still be difficult things in the game, but you don't get a trophy for it, which means you don't have to engage with it.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think these stackable difficulty trophies are not as common anymore. And one thing that is still, I think, a thing is speedrun trophies, but the times have become more easier for non speedrunners, right? So I
I
think
love a speedrun trophy. I
yeah,
really do.
yeah. Best example that comes to mind is in Shadow of the Colossus. You have to engage in hard time attacks, so taking down a Colossus within a certain time on hard difficulty, and that changed from the PS3 remaster to the PS4 remake. They added a little bit, or Uncharted, I think, has some speedrun trophies where you have to beat chapters in a certain amount of time. But yeah, speedruns. Resident Evil has them to this day, and yeah, I think speedrun trophies are some classic trophies that still exist. But yeah, which series have changed the most, would you say? Do you have some examples, Mode?
What do I play mostly? Monster Hunter, between the three games that have had trophies, have changed a lot. God of War probably has stayed the same. Maybe like I found the 28. I haven't platinumed Ragnarok, but the 2018 had like a cool, well-rounded, lots of loads of collectibles. Like so that reminded me of the older God of Wars in a way. And then you've got things like the fighting games. Fighting games have definitely gotten easier, like Tekken 8 between Tekken 6. Tekken 6 being pretty tough. It's like 10% maybe rarity. Tekken 8 is like 50% at least, something like that. You can get Tekken 8 in a couple of hours. And that's a game I've played for like 700 hours just through, you know, enjoyment. I want to play Tekken. But the Platinum you can get in like 7 hours. It's kind of nuts.
Wow.
So that's a really good example. And again, Resident Evil, which you guys would know about. And I've gotten I don't know how many Resi Plats there are, but I've got definitely over 10, you know, from Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4, OG, 100%, Resi 2 Remake, you know, all those. I feel like the earlier trophy lists are a lot more difficult than Requiem seems to be. But on the flip side of that, 7 and 8, pretty tough. And I've not got the plat for 8.
Yeah, 8
Yeah,
quite tough.
Yeah, it does look it. And I bounced off 8 like from a fan perspective. I did like it a lot. I love that trilogy, 7 especially. But something about 8 kind of, I don't know, I didn't click with, so I haven't gone back to get the platinum. And that was another reason why I kind of didn't want to get Requiem without getting a platinum for 8, because as like a super fan, I felt you should probably play 8. I kind of guilt tripped myself into not getting it. So yeah, it seems like there's loads of examples of franchises declining in difficulty over time, which is very interesting, I think. Another series I've got a lot of is Battlefield. And to be fair, every Battlefield, I was looking at this yesterday, I made a video yesterday, or recorded one even, and Battlefield Platinums are like consistently ultra rare, like shockingly so. And it's probably just because it's like fully multiplayer, and they're just always hard anyway. But yeah, that's my 2 cents on the franchises I play a lot. I have a lot of Resistance and Killzone Plats, but there hasn't been any new ones to...
Sadly,
exactly, to accommodate that question. So Mortal Kombat, another quick example. Very easy MK1, easiest platinum in the game, in the franchise. And as you know, score, MK10, pretty bloody difficult, ultra rare.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, you know about that as well. So yeah, definitely a decline in difficulty over time, I'd say.
Are there some... Sorry, I'm blanking. Are there series that you see change, Jahanza? Or
no, I mean,
Call of Duty, maybe? Can you talk on that? Or
Call of Duty, I mean, I'm trying to think.
Or is it
Like
more
all being DLC trophies, right? It's because the launcher.
Yeah.
That's a shame.
I think in the middle of the 2010s, there was some pretty difficult COD platinums, like Black Ops 3, Black Ops 4, quite grindy. I feel like now... I mean, actually, yeah, the modern ones probably are a bit easier. I mean, you and me both got Black Ops 6. Quite straightforward. It was your first COD game and you got it within 3 or 4 months.
Yeah.
Other than one grindy trophy, it was quite straightforward. So they probably have made it a bit more accessible and changed it. The campaigns are a bit shorter as well. I feel like the campaigns in the PS3 era were more harder, more involved.
Yeah, I agree. Maybe I'm confusing the God of War, the platinums, because I think, I mean, they weren't difficult to begin with, but they felt more challenging than the more modern ones, because I remember playing the old trilogy, and they all had these challenge trophies, beat the challenge of the gods, 10 rooms with some challenges in it, and they completely removed that from the list. But then again, they added these ultra difficult boss fights. Even on easy, they destroy the player if they don't come prepared with the right gear and stuff. But yeah, they feel...
I feel like the 2018 one really honoured the old platinums, because it felt like, even from a trophy perspective, you had like, super hard encounters with the Valkyries. The collectibles were like getting all the Gorgon eyes from the old ones. I really like the 2018 one, but I can't really say much about Ragnarok, even about the trophy list. It's been a while since I've looked that one up.
Okay. Then a question. I think nowadays it seems like there are more remakes than new IPs. What are your thoughts on that mode? Would you agree, or?
Yeah, it's definitely like, at first it felt a bit flavor of the month, and then it was like, oh Jesus, they're just going to remaster everything they can. I like a remaster. Like Resi's probably my favorite example. Resi 2 adds so much, and Resi 3, people weren't happy with the length. Maybe people forget that Resident Evil 3 on the PS1 was like a 2-hour game. You could really blitz through it. So I loved playing Resi 3 Remake with its multiple playthroughs. It felt like playing a remake of the PS1. So it's a shame about, cut content and stuff, which is another facet of remakes. Development times and money constrictions means not every area is going to get the treatment. On the flip side, Final Fantasy is a remake I struggle to super enjoy as much as some other people. And I think that's just because of my love for the originals. So I haven't got the platinum of either of them. So that kind of tells you, I don't want to return to these and do the harder challenges for Remake 1 and Rebirth, the second one. But still, it is, awesome remake. So I like a remake that completely changes and reboots and adds things. But then you've got ones like Demon's Souls, which is pretty much a one-for-one remake, and that's just fantastic. So I do enjoy them. I'm a big sucker for nostalgia bait. I would buy it if they announced a Dino Crisis. I would backflip off my balcony and land from pure sheer will of enjoyment. I'd be like, yes, it's out. It's things like that. So yeah, I'm like the target audience for a remake. I think I would really enjoy most things being remade, but it is a bit excessive. You can't deny it might be a bit too much at the moment.
Yeah, same. What are your opinion? What is your opinion on remakes, Jahanzeb?
I'm quite pro remakes, I guess, because it's thanks to remakes I discovered my favorite game of all time, which is Resident Evil 4. But also, I got to play my first Silent Hill last year, 2 years ago, because Silent Hill 2 was remade. The Dead Space remake's great. I think I think they're good. I just don't think they should. I think they should be a side project, and they should still be focusing on the new games and new ideas and new entries into series. I think there's just been the balance has been a bit off in this PS5 generation.
And of course, if the remake doesn't do well, that kills the chance for a Dead Space 4 or whatever. That's
we should have had we should have had a Dead Space 2 remake, a Dead Space 4, but apparently the sales weren't good enough for EA, which is like shocking to me.
Yeah.
Then we get these PlayStation remasters, which are just ridiculous. We get Horizon Zero Dawn came out in like 2018 on the PS4, and it gets a remaster for the PS5. The Last of Us 2
Days Gone did they?
Days Gone is the most recent one, yeah. Instead of giving us a Days Gone 2, which if you just go on the internet for 3 minutes, you'll realize how much people love Days Gone. But they give us... So yeah, I think those remasters have definitely annoyed people. Kind of, ruined the...
Yeah, it's cheapened it a little bit, hasn't it? The public opinion of it.
It has.
On the internet,
And then people look at remakes as the same. It's like, no, a Resident Evil 2 remake is very different to the Horizon remaster. They're two very different things, but people group it into one. So, yeah, it's a funny error.
Yeah, I would agree. It's a bit much, although I have warmed up to the idea of more remakes because, as you said, Silent Hill... I had never played a Silent Hill, and this was my game of the year last year for me because that was I love the idea of playing an old game in a modern costume, if you will, and with a more modern presentation. I really love that. Next remake I'm looking forward to is the Tomb Raider remake that is coming out. It does look very good. But also, I'm like, where are my new IPs? I'm craving new IPs, new ideas, fresh ideas, and I hope they focus on that a little bit more in the future. I mean, Naughty Dog.
The Claire 33 remake in like 10 years.
Yeah. Oh, please no. Yeah. Okay. So, what would you say is a perfect platinum? Maybe we can say an old perfect platinum and then compare it to a new perfect platinum. Thoughts on that? Yeah.
We're going old and new. I was going to omit Resident Evil 5. But I think Resi 5 is a perfect platinum. It's got difficulty, good collectibles, multiple playthroughs. I like a couple of playthroughs, not like excessive, but like, 2 or 3. Maybe you play one difficulty and you unlock the hardest mode, which is like the ultimate challenge of everything you've learned. That feels like a real journey to me. And that probably can be applied to any Resident Evil Platinum, especially the older ones like Zero and Resident Evil 1 Remake. I really enjoyed the Code Veronica Platinum, actually, for the PS2. As for a modern one, it's probably going to be a bit cheapened, but Dead Space Remake, I really enjoyed the trophy list in that, which actually I think doesn't really count because it's a complete... they use the same trophies apart from the a canon one that was present in the original isn't present in the remake. So they're the games that come to mind. And then another little add-on for me, I treat a bit separately, but a perfect like fighting game platinum is like a whole different kettle, Street Fighter 6, Street Fighter 5. Street Fighter 5 is too much because you've got to get really good and go to like Gold League. Street Fighter 6 makes it a bit easier, and there's still a challenging multiplayer trophy. Well, you got to win some tournament games, so it becomes more achievable, I think, for like a newcomer. So, yeah, a mix of like challenge and accessibility, I think, is best as for a modern game, at least.
What is a perfect platinum on the older side and the newer side for you, Johansa?
Oh, older side. You answer first. Let me have a think.
Yeah, sure. So, an old platinum I consider very good is Shadow of the Colossus. It's a game that I played when I bought the remaster, the PS3 remaster. I couldn't get into it, but 10 years later I returned to the game and earned the platinum, and I think that is a good example of a good trophy list. And I read the description of that game. It's reduced to the max, and I love that description. It strips everything away that isn't necessary for a good experience, and the trophy list, I think, does well. It focuses on taking down the Colossus, exploring a little bit, and then challenging you on the hard time attack mode. I think that is something I really enjoy. Far Cry 3 comes to mind, which is kind of a game of the second wave, I think, because that's a fun platinum. You can earn it within a day, but it has such a good flow, in my opinion. You don't need all the collectibles. You need, I think, 80% of them. That's good, the flow of the game and everything. And a more modern Silent Hill 2 remake. The remakes have good trophy lists because they introduce me to the franchise I have never known much about before I played it. And so, yeah, I think these trophy lists are good in a way that they introduce new people to the franchise. I heard on other podcasts, some people are not happy about these remakes because they feel like things are watered down and open up, and where are my challenging platinums? But I think I'm the perfect customer, if you will, because I found Resident Evil because of it. I found Silent Hill because of it. I found I think one more franchise because of it, because I played the remake, and yeah, so that's my opinion.
I'd much rather a remake find a new audience and new fans and create buzz for new games, in the series, than it just cater to a niche old slice of, the fan base.
Yeah.
It's much better to gain new fans and grow. And again, especially for fighting games, if no one plays fighting games, you'll have no one to play against. So I find they have to cater to like new people more than a core audience kind of thing.
Yeah, I think sometimes a remake is needed because, for example, my favorite series, Resident Evil, is 30 years old now. So if they just stuck to the older fans who are probably in their 30s, 40s, and 50s, they've remade 3 games now in the last 6 years. That's brought in new fans like me, and now Requiem's become the fastest selling Resident Evil game ever. And it's like you've now got the new generation involved, so now it kind of secures the future.
Resi's a juggernaut of a franchise, yeah.
Yeah.
Especially, I realized that when I looked at your trophy collection mode, you have so many of these Resident Evil Platinums, and it blew me away. It does look cool.
I love Resi, man. Resi, I was there day one. You know, I bought Resident Evil 1 on the PS1. I remember my brother bringing it home. Really rainy day. Like, you look outside, it could be set in Resident Evil. That's how bad the weather was that day. It was like misty and like eerie piano music. But yeah, Resi probably is also my favorite franchise. As many as I play, I have deep roots with Resi, but even from a new fan perspective, I can see people absolutely falling in love with them, like you guys have.
Yeah,
and that makes me really happy. You know, the magic is still there, and that's why there are 9 main games in, I guess, and however many spin-offs. I just wish they'd stop trying these bloody multiplayer games they seem to do every 10 years.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just stop that. Make Outbreak. Outbreak's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I'm a bit... When I look to Resident Evil, I feel like I'm missing out on the early days, and I want to complete at least one old Resident Evil. And I started the remaster of Resident Evil 1, but I couldn't get into it yet, and I hope to do so at some point on my journey, because it's it's the tanky controls, the fixed camera, it has a charm to it, and but I couldn't I couldn't get into it, and that's a little sting in my heart. I'm subconsciously I'm hoping for a Resident Evil 1 remake in the style of the 2 remake, 3 remake, 4 remake, to experience at least the story, because now that I'm in to the Resident Evil franchise and the story, I'm invested in the characters, and I played Resident Evil 9, and I feel like I'm missing out on stuff. And I also think about playing Resident Evil 5, and then I looked at the trophy list, and the base game is probably fine, but there are so many DLC trophies.
Yeah.
And I'm like, do I really want
They're very
commit?
boostable. I will give them that. They're quite time consuming, but boostable. I would definitely help you with that. I've done a few sessions with 2 PS4s myself, and PS5s.
Ooh, nice.
So I give up every now and again. I'm 82, but I'm looking at now 82% and 91%, including DLC for both versions. So yeah, I'll definitely help you with those. I know my way around, how that works as well. Those trophies.
Yeah, that's a huge thing as well. The having the knowledge of what to expect and how to do it. Okay, that sounds good, because I do want to experience the story and the characters and more of Resident Evil, because it has become one of my biggest franchise in my collection. And in the beginning, I didn't think I would love it as much, but Capcom has done a pretty awesome job too.
You just need to get over that you can't move and shoot at the same time, which is so horrendous. It's so bad. But it's I see it as like just a challenge mechanic. You're like, it's so insane to think about that you can't move and shoot, but yeah, it's how it is. It's how it is.
Have DLC trophies become more excessive, or were they always that? Because I feel like nowadays I completed the game Assassin's Creed Valhalla, for example, and the game sits at 47%. It's crazy.
I feel like there's games that stick out, when it is like that, it really is bloody like that. Vampire Survivors is an insane example, even though that's not DLC you buy, right? It's like a lot of it's included, but most of it you buy. My favorite thing is probably how Monster Hunter Rise dealt with it. There's a full game within that DLC. You play Monster Hunter Rise, and then the DLC is a full expansion. That's hundreds of hours, but every single trophy is DLC. So I kind of like that. It's like 2 games in one, And for a trophy hunter, that's terrible, really. But for someone who wants to spend time and get rewarded for it, it's kind of cool. Or Monster Hunter World's expansion, which you need World to play Iceborne. Iceborne has a separate platinum. So,
oh, really?
Yeah, so a DLC has its own platinum in a way, and it's not standalone. You need World to play Iceborne, but it has its own plat. So I think that's cool. What I don't enjoy is, your example where a game has like 40% platinum because of the amount of DLCs they release. Resi's like that, Resi 5. Battlefields are like that quite often because of the amount of DLCs they release. A lot of my ultra rare Battlefield plats are like 60% and stuff. Final Fantasy 15, I feel like, has a lot of DLC. That's another one that comes to mind. So, yeah, I think when they're like that, they're really like that. But if it's the odd DLC with like an extra 10, 20%, I enjoy that.
Yeah. I mean, it works. If you're into the game, then it works. I recently completed Stardew Valley's DLC, and it's completely free, and it was, the developer, which is a solo developer for the most part, I think. He has some help from other people, but he's mostly developing the game solo, and he added a whole nother region, and I spent the time, I think 30, 40 hours to complete the game, and it's awesome. And when it works, but then again, if you don't like the game and then you see so many DLC trophies, it's very annoying and off-putting. Yeah.
Diablo 4 is DLC, adds hundreds of hours apparently. So yeah, I've kind of been putting that off because I know I'd want to play the DLC as well, and then you're spending more time getting a bronze or whatever than you are getting the actual platinum in a way. It's like, Jesus, please no.
Jahanza, what are your thoughts on DLC?
I think it's gone worse over the years. I think it's like a money grab for developers. I think probably in the PS3 era, you get one or two carefully curated DLCs. Whereas now, if you just pick series, you can see, like, if you pick Far Cry, for example, Far Cry 4 has one DLC pack, 4 or 5 hours done. 5 has 3, 6 has like 5 or 6, and they're quite involved, like 10 hours each. AC is like that. It's just been growing and growing until it reached a bizarre peak with Valhalla, where it's like the platinum is one thing, and then the 100% is its own platinum, in terms of hours and effort.
I agree.
Yeah, I like a DLC, but if it's not adding anything to the game or the story, there's no real need for it.
Yeah. Okay, it's not on the list, but I do want to discuss one topic, and that is online trophies, right? Because the PlayStation 3 had online trophies, and now the servers, more and more servers are shut down, and platinum trophies become unobtainable. And on one hand, that's cool because then you have a moment in time if you have the platinum with unobtainable trophies, but also it's kind of depressing. Games get shut down and people don't experience them because of unobtainable trophies, which is a problem in my opinion. For example, the infamous Mad Max Platinum. One part of one trophy is unobtainable, getting scrapped while you are not playing the game. That was an online feature. They shut that down, and now the platinum is unobtainable. And yeah, what are your thoughts, Mode, on online trophies?
I feel like I suffer from this quite a lot, with my being first wave, I suppose. My back catalogue of games is huge, absolutely huge. So every day I'm finding more unobtainable, and I'm just sorted by unobtainable now. And I have a lot I have a lot that I can't get. I've got a few real sob stories, ones I could have got but couldn't be bothered. I just let it die with knowledge that it was ending. Multiverses, for example, I just couldn't bring myself to self-boost and get the ultra rare. So I left it at 34%, knowing it was going. Other games kind of came and went without me knowing, like Splitgate. I forgot that ended, so I'm 90% on Splitgate, which is 100%. So that was a bit of a pain. Battlefield 4 DLC, so I'll always be at 75%. The biggest upsetting one for me, there's 3 actually. There's Gwent, the Witcher card game, and I loved Gwent. And by the time I got into it, they shut it down about 2 months later. So I regret not getting that platinum. Completely online card game, that was. Mortal Kombat 9, I would love to go back and get those platinums, but now I can only get a certain amount because the servers are down. Friday the 13th, that's an upsetting one. God, I've got a lot of horrible memories here. And Killzone Shadowfall, that's the biggest one because I have every other Killzone platinum. Every single one. Not all the DLC, but every platinum, which I'm super happy with. You know, Killzone 2 is one of my rarest platinums. So that was a shame. And there's not many success stories there either. Like, I have 100% in my rarest platinum, MK versus DC Universe, is unobtainable. So that's 0.44%. That will always be that, which is cool.
Yeah.
And then the other 100% I have is PUBG, which got shut down in November last year. And I got the platinum before they did that. I'm now subscribed to these are the impending Doom shutdown ones, and I keep a track of it, which I never did before. So that's something that's changed in the last year. I'm kind of watching what is actually shutting down, because Killzone really caught me off guard. I was like, oh, bloody hell, no. That one was upsetting.
Do you prepare for shutdowns, Jahansep, or is that something you don't look at? What's your opinion on that?
I guess I kind of do, actually, without realizing it, because if I start an older game, I'll give you an example. Titanfall 2, it's not that old, but it's like at least 10 years old, and there seems to not be making any more of those games. When I started that platinum, I had like 4 or 5 multiplayer trophies. So I think I played the first level just to get a feel of the game. And then I was like, right, let's get the multiplayer trophies done. So I think so. And I look at my kind of list of backlog games I have to complete. And if it's particularly old and has some online trophies, especially if it's a single player game, probably more chance of shutting down the server, I will go back and get those just so it's safe. So yeah, it's annoying. I just feel like if you've popped a trophy for a game and they shut the server down, I feel like they should just reward you with the online trophies.
Yeah.
It would be
You
cool.
know, I know not everyone will like it because some people earned the trophies, but it would just be like the platinum can still be got if you popped a certain amount of trophies in the game. You get to get the online trophies and you can carry on getting the platinum.
Yeah, like a threshold maybe.
I think Shadow of Mordor, the first one, did a great job, because there was one trophy that had to do with a vengeance mechanic where you could avenge other players, and they changed the trophy requirements to something you could do offline when they shut down the servers, and I think that's cool. a very good idea.
Yeah.
Some of my biggest regrets not getting SingStar. I was a huge fan of SingStar, and I have 2 mics, and I would love to have the platinum.
Get the wig out for that one.
Yeah. I'm now that I'm playing more on my PS3, I want to go back and earn some of the trophies in SingStar. I think that would be fun. Also, I did prepare Mirror's Edge Catalyst, the second game in the Mirror's Edge series. I did all the, I think, 2 or 3 online trophies, so that game is safe. I am more aware of it. I think with the Assassin's Creed series, which I love, but I couldn't be bothered with all the multiplayer stuff, and I let it slide. And so it's a double-edged sword for me. On one hand, I think it's great that there will be moments in time. If you have the platinum, you have the platinum. That will be ultra rare or whatever for forever, and it's a milestone. It's something big. On the other hand, games get shut down, and almost forgotten because trophy hunting only focuses on active games you can earn the platinum in, and yeah,
It definitely feels nice, almost as good as getting a platinum itself for me, to get all the multiplayer trophies out of
yeah,
the way. And you're like,
yeah,
well, that's in the bag. I can just focus on
yeah,
that single
Yes.
player
yeah,
whenever. And I'm in that boat for quite a few games. I'm like, cool, I'll just return to that whenever. And obviously I don't. And it's just sit there all the multiplayer. But it's
yeah,
nice to think that I could.
yeah. And I'm working on 2 PS3 games, big PS3 games, Red Dead Redemption 1, the online, getting to level 50, which is a huge grind. I need to clear one of the bandit camps for 170 more times, I think. And then I'm working on GTA 4, huge, ultra rare, big name, but the online trophies are so annoying. But yeah, it would be a very prestige moment, and yeah, I think they have their worth, and it's up to you personally if you engage in it or not. Um, okay, yeah, that's a big topic I wanted to discuss, and I think the last question before we get into the other parts of the podcast is, what are some wishes for the future, or maybe predictions? Where is trophy hunting going? Yeah, what are your thoughts on that? Wishes and predictions mode.
I think it's going to be more clear cut that there's going to be trophy lists released targeting people who want a harder platinum, and that will be like its selling point. You know, there's already a few games like that. This is an old school game with a hard trophy list for, you know, completionists. Much like Dark Souls is like catering to people who want a challenge kind of thing, but that same mentality, but for trophy lists specifically. So yeah, that's what I hope to see anyway. You know, this is a challenge. This is going to be a hard trophy list, and this is why you should get hard game, especially with like trophy hunting becoming more and more like part of, you know, accepted, you know, gaming culture, I suppose, like achievement hunting, you know, with Steam achievements and Xbox and well, not Nintendo, whatever it is they want to do. They're just immune to that kind of pressure, aren't they? Nintendo, they just don't care about like in-house achievements. So yeah, that's what I hope to see anyway. Games that are like, hey, this is going to be a hard platinum and on purpose. Um, and that's kind of my wish as well. That's both a prediction and a wish, because I want to play games like that, I think. Other than that, they're probably just going to get easier and easier, aren't they? Especially in the big franchises. I can see it in Monster Hunter, I can see it in Resi, I can see it in my fighting games. So I think that's just going to, I don't know, keep going down in difficulty to, I'm not sure, maybe it will reset and become really hard again. Maybe it will just become too easy to get these platinums and it will lose its meaning a little. That's a bit of a concern of mine.
Yeah. What are some of your wishes and predictions for the future, Jahanzeb? Do you have any?
Wishes, definitely no multiplayer trophies in single player games. It's yeah.
Yeah. Oh wow.
At least not part of the platinum. Maybe a separate DLC trophy list. It's like if you want to engage with that, you can, but not as part of the platinum. I agree with Mode. I think platinums are becoming more and more commercial, more public, and I think platinums will probably continue to be easier. But I do hope that there will be some devs who say, actually, we've gone old school here. This is going to be a very tricky platinum. You have to do difficulty playthrough, whatever, or speed run, etc. So hopefully that might become a thing, because obviously everything comes in cycles. So if we're in the easy new game platinum cycle, maybe some devs will come out and say, here's a deliberately hard platinum on our very big game coming out.
Yeah. I think trophy hunting will be more divided to more extremes. It will get easier trophies and more difficult trophies. I want to bring something up that we haven't touched on really in this, but my wishes for the future of trophy huntings is that the content becomes more varied. I'm kind of sick of the samey videos. This platinum gave me cancer, and I try to change that with my content. For example, the skit, the comedy bit that was just 1 minute and 10 seconds, but I do want to work on that because I feel like there's so much potential, and I hope with that content we will find an audience, because it's a shame that everything feels more streamlined, more appeal to the main to mainstream, and I miss the times when it was a smaller community, more intimate, more uplifting. Now it feels like it is so I'm a little bit hesitant to say that r/trophies used to be a big place for me to go and exchange, and I have tried to make posts that are different from, hey, look, I got this platinum, but every time I asked the question, I was downvoted, and only 3 people
That's a shame.
Yeah, it's and some of my posts really took over, had 100. It's not about the numbers, but the engagement, the comments that flowed in and everything. So I do hope we can build a community that produces content that is different and has a variety of tastes and whatnot. That's my wish.
Well, I love what you did with your skit. I really do hope to see more stuff like that, even if you're like the spearhead of it. I think you're onto something there, because it is all, you search trophy hunting and it's a thumbnail of a guy with bloodshot eyes holding up the platinum.
Yeah!
Come on, man. It's better than that. It is, but people like to see suffering. I prefer a journey, a rags to I've achieved this kind of thing, an uplifting thing, a more positive experience, not like you said so well.
Yeah,
this gave me an illness.
Yeah.
Bloodshot eyes. I'm sleep deprived and I hate my life, but I got this platinum.
Yeah.
And I get it. Some experiences are like that. They really are, but I much prefer an uplifting journey, and that's what I'm kind of interested in watching. Or a side of it that I haven't seen before, which is like your comedy aspect, which I think is brilliant. I really look forward to seeing more on that.
All right. Yeah. Well, I think that wraps up our discussion, how trophy hunting has changed. Usually we have some other segments. I don't think we discuss news today, but I do want to talk about what we have been playing. Or what have you been playing in the last month or so?
Wow. Okay. Well, I have sorted by latest platinums. Let's get rid of. I got the platinum for Tomb Raider Anniversary last week, so I finished that off.
Nice.
I got Art of Fighting, which is a very difficult fighting game, like as retro as Street Fighter 2, but a collection of SNK games, so really difficult. I don't know why it's not ultra rare, but it's 8 out of 10, so there's that. Unfortunately, I've been putting myself through Mighty Number 9 as well, which is a Mega Man clone, a failed one. It was like a failed Kickstarter, 0.75%. So I'm really trying to get a new ultra rare, like in the works. But it's as bad as it is difficult, and it's very difficult, which makes it very bad.
Oh, it's a bad combo.
But I don't know. There's something endearing. I like janky stuff. It must be like me growing up with PS3. Like I just get along with that kind of stuff. So in a way, I'm enjoying it. And other than that, I've been playing some Clair Obscur. So not as much as I should. It's definitely game of the year, like without doubt, fully deserved. I'm just struggling with like story games at the moment, I think, and sitting down. I'm much more of I'm a load up Tekken, chill out for 2 hours and just press buttons and make cool things happen. Like that's how I feel like doing after work sometimes. Other than that, a bit of Returnal. Hope to get that platinum soon. But yeah, other than constants, which are Monster Hunter and Tekken, yeah, that's what I've been working on lately.
Mm-hmm. Jahansab, do you want to talk
I
about?
Yeah, my last platinum was Call of Duty Modern Warfare 3, which, to be honest, our
Wow.
last podcast episode, Abandoned Platinums, kind of gave me the kick up the backside. And I was like, actually, I don't want this to be an abandoned platinum. So I killed those 50,000 zombies. I got it.
Wow. Nice.
Excellent.
And then right now I'm working on a mixture of things. I'm doing Black Ops 7 slowly in the background. And I've re-engaged with Star Wars Outlaws, so gone back to that after like 18 months. So I've gone back to that, trying to platinum and 100% that. Let's see how that goes. What about you?
So I finished the DLC of Stardew Valley. Great experience. It's an ultra platinum anyways, 3.54, and the 100% turns it down to 1.38%, which I'm very happy about. Very time consuming, not necessarily difficult, but yeah, very fun. I enjoyed more content of that. Then I played Sword of the Sea. Unfortunately, it was part of the PS Plus Extra tier I was subscribed to, and I downgraded to Essential, and now I don't have access to it anymore. So if I want the Platinum, I do. I'm have to pay. I have to pay for it. I think 30 Swiss francs. But yeah, great game. Loved my first playthrough. Then my most recent platinum, my second this year, which is crazy that I say that, because by that point I would be 6 platinums in usually, and now 2026 I only have 2 platinums in at the end of March. But Resident Evil 9, of course. I think it's a fun experience. You should play other Resident Evils before that. And if you are, dear listeners or viewers, if you are interested in Resident Evil 9 and what we think about it and want a spoiler-free review or maybe even a spoiler talk, then check out our first ever special episode on the channel. It's about Resident Evil 9, where Jahansab and I talk about it. Yeah, check that out. And the game I'm working on at the moment is Kazan, the first Berserker.
Oh, that's difficult.
It is difficult. It is an 8 out of 10, 50-hour platinum. One playthrough if you look out for some things, which I'm trying to do at the moment because I don't feel like I want multiple playthroughs of the game. So far, I thought it was a Souls-like game, but it is more like an action game with Souls-like elements. So you have your bonfires, you have your enemies respawn up after you die and stuff like that. You have boss fights, of course, but the combat is more action-focused. And right now, I have a boss that is a roadblock, and that's funny enough, that's the first boss that feels like a proper Souls boss with combos, and you have to learn its pattern. Before that, I was like, no, I'm pushing through. I overpower the boss. I put on some levels and get more health, more stamina, more damage. But right now, I'm facing a boss. Yeah, that's have 2 faces and some ultra hard to dodge one shot deaths, and yeah. But so far I enjoy the game. From the structure, it's more like Demon Souls. You have your hub, and then you go to some stones and warp into different worlds, and yeah. It's a good game. Yeah, that's what I've been playing since the last regular episode in February. Okay. And so now we have some questions from our viewers, of course. Mainly Get Shanked, who has always the best questions. Very thoughtful. Yeah, Mode, are you up for giving your
Yeah,
opinion
yeah.
on that as well? Okay.
Absolutely, yeah.
Okay.
I've got them here. Yeah, that title makes sense now. Get shanked. That's literally the title in what you gave me.
Yeah,
I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Time to get shanked.
yeah. Yeah, so the first question he has for us, what are some single player games that you abandoned or have not started, but you think you would be... Wait, is that...
Yeah.
Is that the question? Or do we have... Okay,
Yeah,
let's
that's the question.
start again. I thought I had answered that, but maybe... Yeah, sorry. So, what are some single player games that you abandoned or have not started, but you think you would be better experiences or would even return to if they were co-op instead? For him, it's Resident Evil because he need a partner to get through that scary ish. Yeah.
It's scary-ish. Sometimes scary, sometimes not.
Yeah, depending on the game. Yeah.
I think some platinums would have been easier in co-op, or at least I would have enjoyed them more. I'm going to get the Returnal Platinum for sure, and it does have a co-op component. I wish some of the main game could be in co-op, and then you could earn trophies together. I think that'd be a really fun experience. But at the same time, I also love the isolation of the game, so maybe that would ruin the vibe of it quite a lot. But that's something that came to... I'm getting like the collectibles at the moment, so you've got to repeat runs a lot. You've got to... And it would have been nice to get some bloody help looking for these red writing on the wall, even if I do know the rooms off by heart now because I've got the guide open 24/7. So games like that where the experience would be, I don't know, a little bit more fun to get with someone else, I think. That's what comes to my mind anyway.
Put your hands up.
I think the only thing I can think of, it's not a game I've abandoned completely, but Titanfall 2 and co-op would have been fun, I think. It's an FPS shooter, wall running, double jump. It's quite futuristic. There's like mech suits you jump into. You can get different mech suits, have different abilities, so you could kind of combine with your partner.
Yeah.
I think that would have been a good co-op game.
I love that game. That is a very good game.
Yeah. I'm on Mode's side with that. Returnal is a game I stopped playing because I absolutely suck at the game. Bullet hell is not my favorite genre. And I would love to get that platinum. I recently booted it up and yeah, I still suck. I think I reached the second room because before I was too frustrated and gave up on it again.
Difficult. So that's a very difficult one, that is.
Yeah, you can't brute force it. So my strategy is to most problem is brute forcing, but you can brute force yourself through a what's the type of game? A roguelite or roguelike. Roguelike. Game. That's
things chip away at you, right? They chip away at you. You can't regain health as easier in other games.
You get rewarded for not getting hit, right? And kind of punished if you take the energy to refill your bar. And yeah, so that's a game I think I would enjoy more in co-op. Okay. Second question: if you could lead the design or be the creative director for the next installment in a gaming franchise, what franchise would that be? What would you do differently or add to the game that you think would be valuable to those who love that franchise or gaming in general? Oh man. Mode.
I would give a Tekken game a Street Fighter trophy list. I think that's a good thing because Street Fighter trophy lists have they've got a really cool single player. They've got good multiplayer trophies. They've also usually got a skill barrier. And I think I'm selfish enough to want a gatekeeping kind of fighting game platinum for a franchise I love. Tekken Platinums are like notoriously quite easy compared to other fighting games. Whereas the game is not easy at all. You know, at higher levels, it's very difficult. So I would love a reach this rank with a Tekken character or whatever, because I think that would really showcase my love for the game more than an easy platinum does, if that makes sense. At the moment, my love for the game is shown through my playtime, which is 700-800 hours or something. But as I said earlier, it's a 7-hour platinum. So, as a trophy hunter, people who don't know I like fighting games are like, why are you playing this game for 700 hours when the plat's only 7? So yeah, that's what I do. And Street Fighter has a good, not gatekeeped kind of skill barriers, apart from 5, but 6 I think is the best example of like a modern, challenging but fair platinum that I would love Tekken to have.
Mm-hmm. Good answer. Put your hands up.
I would be the creative director of the Batman Arkham games and stop all this messing around and get a new game made. The formula's established, but it invented its own new style of free flow combat that many other games have copied. The lore's great, it's good collectibles, there's puzzles. They introduced the Batmobile in the last game, so I would make another semi-open world Gotham City Batman Arkham game.
Nice.
It's needed.
Board.
The game that came to my mind was Dead Space. And I would return to the franchise origins, the roots of Dead Space. Let me check my notes. Yeah, I would send Isaac to a mission to repair abandoned space stations, claustrophobic, tight spaces, flickering lights, terrifying sounds, limited resources, limited amount of weapons, things to repair to make life easier for Isaac. Elevators, shortcut doors, power stations, all that good stuff. I love how resourceful Isaac is, and I love building things and repair things. That is so satisfying to me as a gamer. Yeah,
I love the opening of Dead Space 3. Like everything you explain there is the first few hours of Dead Space 3, and I think the vibe of that part of it is pretty unmatched throughout the whole franchise. If the whole game was in that kind of space graveyard and there was, it kind of focused on that rather than the ice planet, which it eventually gets to, I think it would have been a lot better received, because you are exploring abandoned old, spaceships and stations and stuff. I think that's really cool in that game.
And I want more survival horror, less action, co-op focus.
Yeah.
Because Dead Space 3 was a good co-op action game, but not a good Dead Space game in my opinion. And so I want to return to the roots of that. Okay, very different answers. I love hearing all of them. Question 3. If you had a kid, would you allow them to play games? And at what age would that be? And what game would you play with them first? Would the game be dependent on their gender? Wow.
So I'm kind of going through this with my nephew at the moment. He just turned 7. So he's starting to discover fighting games. He's starting to look at... He loves racing games and Lego. That's what he plays at the moment. And it's funny because all his knowledge of Marvel or Jurassic Park or whatever is all based on Lego. So he's usually played the game first before having watched the film. And he's like, oh, it's just like the game, just like my game. He thinks the movie's copying the game. And he can't quite put it together yet. So that's been really fun to see. So my brother's decisions, I'm kind of seeing that question in real time at the moment. I personally I'd probably let my kid play Doom or Metroid, all these scary games that I grew up with. Because when I was 7, I was already, knee deep in the dead, so to speak, which is the Doom difficulty. So yeah, and I turned out all right, maybe. Doom and Alien and everything else. So yeah, I probably wouldn't be a great parent because of that.
I mean, as long as you are invested and keeping track of what your kid is playing, I think that's fine,
yes,
right?
Safety first.
Yeah.
But no, I think fighting games are a good entry point, because there's a lot of violent is as long as it's not Mortal Kombat, right? I think Street Fighter, something more fantastical is fine. Tekken to a degree, but yeah, maybe not Mortal Kombat. Not till later.
Mm-hmm. If you're a dad, your hands up. If you were a dad, what would your kid be like, and what would you make them play?
Probably around the age 5 to 7, I reckon, is probably a good age, I'd probably, if it's obviously on my PlayStation, it'd have to be probably like Astrobot or something. Astro's
Oh,
Playroom.
Astrobot would be perfect.
Yeah. If they're really into games, I'd consider getting a Nintendo, or we could do a bit of Mario Kart, or I could hook up my old N64 and play some retro Mario Kart 64. But it'd be something like that, a platformer, something kind of safe. Play it safe.
I think that's a tough question for me, and I'm glad that I'm not a dad, because I see the responsibility, and I think playing video games with your kid is a good way of connecting. I see that aspect, but I'm not sure which game I would play with my kids, and so very good question, but also very tough question. And I haven't spent too much time thinking about that. I love the idea of having a nephew. So a safe subject, not too responsible for it, but can shape
all the fun, none of the responsibility.
kind of that. Yeah. Okay. So question 4. I know I have asked this before, but what is your opinion on AI in gaming? Not necessarily the impact AI is having on the business side of the gaming industry and development, but where generative AI and agentic AI will lead gaming to in terms of enhancing overall gaming experiences and accessibilities for player. What excites you the most about AI in gaming, and what turns you off most about AI in gaming? Wow, these questions.
My only love for AI is in assisting, real people, maybe in placeholders, maybe to bounce ideas of, but anything generative, I'm not a big fan of at all. This recent NVIDIA stuff, I think, is an abomination. And I've had people I know who are like my, family. Some people are like, oh, because they know I like gaming, so they're like, oh, did you see that? It looks really cool. And at face value, yeah, it looks different. I don't think it looks good personally, but I can see why people would think it looks good. But it looks exactly the same as every other AI thumbnail I see in the PlayStation Store. It distracts me. It takes away from the environment. The lighting isn't even correct. You can see I've got a light here. You can see the light reflecting on my face. AI just throws any composition, any physics out the window. So I think it's a really bad thing. But I don't want to blanket term AI in all bad. I think there's some very good uses for AI. One developer used AI to do the lip syncing animations, something that would be, not fun to develop, I imagine, or animate. Doesn't take away from any real artists or assets, or people who made the assets. It's just literally someone making the lips move to the sounds on the screen. That sounds boring as hell. Why not use AI for the more boring, non-input stuff that human need to supervise to make some fella's job easier and better so they can focus on the more creative aspect? That's kind of where I stand on AI. At face value, I'm quite anti-AI, but I think it can be applied to benefit a lot of actually real life kind of situations, especially in game development. So yeah, I got some feelings on it, put it that way. But yeah, mostly AI bad, but some situations I think could be used to benefit some processes and stuff.
That's fair. Jahanza?
I'm not a fan of AI threatening people's jobs or things like that, but if it can be used to bring down gaming budgets and gaming developing time without sacrificing human beings and their working lives, I think that would be good, because I think that's the problem right now in gaming. Games are unnecessarily too expensive to make and take too long, all for the sake of things like ray tracing and things like that you can argue if how important they are. So yeah, I don't have too many opinions on AI in gaming. I just don't want people to lose jobs, really. And if that NVIDIA thing, I want to know that developers want to use that. So I've seen all the Resident Evil footage, and it's like, if Capcom like that and they're happy with that and they had involvement, then I'm okay with it. I don't want someone else's software hardware coming on top of my game. and affecting it too much.
Yeah, I also see the human side of that. I don't want people to lose their jobs. I want the creative human product, and not just decided by the AI. I'm the same. I'm very against AI, but I don't really understand it that much as well. So there are people that are way more knowledgeable about it and everything. And I want to keep the human side of things in creative processes, and not just the generative AI. And I think that's a topic that can be discussed in more length. But yeah, I'm not sure if this is the right thing, the right space to discuss this topic further.
Yeah, it's a very deep question.
Yeah,
Sure.
a big field to discuss, with follow-up questions and everything. So let's go to the next question. What game made you fall in love with trophy hunting again after trophy burnout? Ooh, what a question. I tried to answer that, but I can't remember which game it was.
I think my 100 milestone comes to mind because my 90 to 99 was abysmal. That was like the stuff I regret the most. We're talking Orc Slayer, 3 times Sound Shapes, Pac-Man game. Yeah, I love Pac-Man. Nothing against the little fella, but I only played him for a platinum. And I think after I got the 100th plat, which was Mortal Kombat X, so more of a period of time rather than a certain platinum, I started to appreciate not having that pressure of thinking about that milestone anymore, and I just started to enjoy platinums more in general, gaming in general. I was like, well, that made me feel not great, rushing out all those platinums just to get to 100. So any platinum after Mortal Kombat 10 for me was a nice relief. Was good to get the love of trophy hunting back for me. So a period rather than an actual game, or maybe Mortal Kombat 10 itself, earning that platinum and being like, right, that's over. Now I can just not worry about anything and be like, just play normally.
Johansa?
I mean, I don't have a historical one, but a recent example would probably be I took a bit of a break at the start of the year, and I was waiting for Requiem, and Requiem was since I started my completion percentage project, Requiem was the first new game I've added. So, and I went in blind playthrough, no trophy guide, no looking at the trophies, just enjoyed myself. So I think that was a nice refresher of why I love gaming. That is the game first before trophies and platinums. And now I'm kind of back in on my completion percentage and enjoying grinding again. So yeah, probably that. What about you, Score?
Yeah, it feels like I don't have the exact game, but games that come to mind is Superliminal, which is a puzzle game, and I had experiences with puzzle games where I would look up guides and solutions to puzzles, and that ruined stuff for me. And Superliminal was the first puzzle game I played through without any guides, and it kind of taught me that I can play through games blind, and I should focus more on the game itself and overcoming challenges in the game, and not look at solutions in videos or guides, because that takes all away the fun, the gaming aspect. Yes, sure, I get trophies faster if I use a guide, but Superliminal, I think Wolfenstein 2 in a way taught me something, that I could enjoy difficult games, or Final Fantasy, a huge grind, but a game I had in my mind. I played it for 2 hours at a neighbor's house, and 10 years later, 15 years later, I earned the platinum for that. So that reignited my love for gaming and trophy hunting in a way that is healthy, I think. That these are my answers to the question. Next one. What platinum do you regret earning?
Orc Slayer. Straight away, Orc Slayer. I'll say it again.
Yeah.
Orc Slayer. It's the worst platinum I've ever heard. It's the worst game I've ever loaded up, yet alone a platinum. If I played that game for 5 minutes, I'd still say it's the worst game I've ever played. Massive regret. And that's why I speak about it so much whenever I mention it, because it does make the other games easier. It makes everything else better in comparison, just by it existing. So in a way, maybe it isn't a regret, because it's, you know, it's that blemish that I can always go back to, and I can be like, nothing's ever going to be as bad as that. Like, without a doubt. So yeah, definitely Orc Slayer. But I have some other like smaller regrets, like playing the Go games, Lara Croft Go, and Go,
that was a
with
puzzle game.
a guide. Yeah. I feel like I would have enjoyed them a lot without a guide, but that was kind of on the run to 100 as well, looking up easier platinums. And then I, you know, gaslighted myself into, these are franchises I like. I'll get this platinum because I like the franchise. Just use a guide. So that's a bit of a regret. Other than that, not too many. Sound Shapes triple auto pop for 100 platinums was a bit grabby for me. I didn't really like that. So yeah, but mainly Orc Slayer, I would say.
Okay, put your hands up.
I think it's got to be DC League of Super Pets. I think it was a PS Plus game. I love DC, so I think I must have said to myself, "Oh, it's in the DC universe." It's horrendous. It's like 11 levels. Each level's the exact same. 2-hour platinum, but yeah,
yeah.
Perfect.
I agree. And I have a couple of regrets. I think Rhyme, the first one I mentioned, the first easy platinum. Maybe before that was Stormboy, and the stories we tell ourselves to. Yeah.
Yes.
For example, I'm an open gamer. I play every type of game. I'm in for the experience. And yeah, that was clown behavior. You know, the meme where a clown gets more and more of a clown. I think, yeah, I'm an open gamer. I'm in for the experience. I'm not in for the trophies, for the easy trophy and whatnot. And yeah, that's me. In a way, Hymno is a game I really regret. It's a very easy platinum for Vita, and I do wanted to play something on my Vita because, yeah, I refer to my Vita as an abandoned stepchild, you know, not really cared about, and I did want to just want to play it, use it more, and that game was super crap. It looked good on screenshot, but the gameplay, I mean, and I'm happy that I stopped playing easy games with easy platinums because it's just not worth it. Don't do that, kids. Don't do that.
It's a long and winding path.
Yeah, and shameless plug, if you want more regrets of mine, check out the video on my channel. I have a video where I go over every platinum I regret in my 15-year trophy hunting journey. Okay, question 8. What trophy hunting rule do you refuse to break? Wow.
What are the trophy hunting rules?
I mean, that's the question. Do you have any rules, and which ones do you refuse to break?
I guess from those experiences that we were just talking about, I try not to betray my, you know, my compass of I want to play good games. I want to play good games. I want to earn hard platinums and everything in between. So I guess that's a rule I don't want to break, is I don't want to play, you know, games just for an easy platinum. And I haven't since, which is great. So I don't think I'll ever break that rule now, which is good.
Yeah. Jahanzeb, do you have any rules?
No, I don't really have any rules. I'm sure if I really think about it, I might have some, but I've never actively made rules. I don't know on this one.
Okay. For me, I think I have broken every rule I had at some point, and rules are there for to be broken. I think the newest rule I have a mandatory blind playthrough, because that has given me so much enjoyment, and yeah, just the trophies are nice, but I want to be a gamer first, experience games without any thoughts on trophies, and I think that has given me back some of the magic I had in the beginning, 10 years, 12 years ago, and that's important. Yeah. Okay. Then, question number 9. What platinum should every trophy hunter earn at least once? Add Jahanza, please add a second recommendation after RE4. Lol. That is an inside. That has become an inside joke. Okay.
I think rather than a specific game, I think everyone should platinum a fighting game. You know, just so you got that genre on your list, much like you did score. You've got one of the harder ones, so I probably wouldn't recommend Mortal Kombat 10.
Yeah.
But it's such, and even if you don't get along with the genre, I find it such a rewarding genre to put time into. Obviously, I'm biased, but at a certain point, I wasn't into fighting games, and I discovered the magic of learning, applying knowledge, and overcoming. And I don't think any genre, other than maybe like, you know, Soulsborne, applies that mentality. And I feel like there's a lot of easier fighting game platinums that you can get whilst trying to discover that feeling, like Tekken 8, like maybe Street Fighter 6, even though that's a little bit of a harder one. Loads of 2D anime fighters, Guilty Gear Strive, even some of the older collections like the Marvel vs. Capcom collection, the Darkstalkers ones. There's so many cool fighting games, and they're just so unique that I want everyone to try them. That's what I want to like spearhead. And if that takes an easy platinum, that takes an easy platinum. Play Tekken 8 for 7 hours. Decide if you like the genre. And games like that are like established, you know, slices of PlayStation history, aren't they? Everyone played Tekken 2 when they were younger. If you're around our age, you probably knew someone who had Tekken 2, Tekken 3, Street Fighter Alpha, something like that. So I just think it's a cool, important genre that everyone should try. So you can get a platinum on the way with something like, Tekken 8, say.
Hands up.
I picked a safe one because I was thinking it has to cover so many different types of gamers. So it's similar to your answer, but I went for Astrobot. So I was like, it's fun, it's a platformer, and bizarrely, it's very straightforward until the final challenge level where it has this very strange difficulty spike. And suddenly you're like, oh my God, this last level was a bit trickier compared to all the previous 60. But I think that's a good one. And a fun platinum, I think everyone should try and have.
Yeah, I thought about this, and at first I was like trying to recommend some of my favorite games. For example, Far Cry 3, then Dead Space or Uncharted or stuff like that. But mine is Astro's Playroom because it is free. It is on PS5, so it is a modern game by any standards, I think. It's accessible for newcomers, and even I, a trophy hunter that has been trophy hunting for over 10 years, I really enjoyed my time with the game, and so Astro's Playroom is a good choice. And I agree with Mode. First of all, pick a game that you really enjoy, platinum the game you enjoy. That's a good recommendation. Everyone should play. And second, challenge yourself and try games out of your comfort zone. You never know what you like and what you don't like if you only play Call of Duty, for example. And that's
I'm just trying to save my favorite genre. Fighting games are a rare breed.
That's fair. And I probably would have started with Tekken 2, but Tekken 8, sorry. But unfortunately, I had Mortal Kombat on my trophy list, and I'm not starting a game in a genre I'm not very familiar with, and I wanted to clean
you
up.
really skipped the shallows. You just dove right into the deepest part,
Sharks.
and you saw it through. I mean, that is amazing. I loved seeing and helping you get that platinum.
Yeah,
it was very, very fun.
It's one of those that I wouldn't have thought that I would be able to earn this platinum, and now I have it, and it's my second rarest platinum. So yeah. Anyways, we are closing in on the end of the podcast, but the last question is, what is your most controversial trophy hunting or gaming opinion? Please be honest.
Oh no.
Are we playing safe here like most of us, or do we go?
No, I'm never safe with anything. Even in fighting games, I play unsafe, so I go all in or nothing.
Okay.
I say I don't really, I say everyone should hunt trophies the way they want, but really I don't really enjoy quantity trophy hunting. I'm fine with people who do it. I'm happy for them. I really am. It's just something I personally don't see satisfaction in. That's all I'll say about it. Shovelware, multi-stacks, leaderboards with 1,000 platinums. I understand they're changing it on PSN profiles soon, right? They're removing something like they're moving shovelware from leaderboards, so the quantities are going to change. I could be wrong on that. I did read something somewhere.
Yeah.
So maybe some people feel the same, maybe some people don't. I think it's a whole great other facet of trophy hunting. I'm fascinated by it. And then there's it kind of plays into trophy streak trophy hunting, which again is something I haven't really considered, but I think that's really cool. I just feel I feel bad enough when I forget to do my Duolingo, yet alone breaking a trophy streak for however long. So I guess my opinion is, or controversy is, there are trophy hunting habits that I have no interest in because I enjoy what I enjoy. Which I think is what people should do. You enjoy what you enjoy, you respect what other people like, and just let them get on with it, kind of thing.
Jahanza, any controversial opinions or?
I don't think I have a controversial opinion on trophy hunting. I think we all share similar things, no shovelware, things like that, etc. But I'll tell you what, I'll pick a game that apparently is controversial. One of my all-time favorite games, The Last of Us 2. So I guess my safe controversial opinion is I absolutely love that game. And I like Abby, so...
And now this podcast is over. We are not going to talk anymore. That's it for me. Yeah. There's the line. You crossed it. No, I can respect that. I think I thought about it, and I think we all crave some kind of validation in our lives, and trophy hunting is giving us that. At least for me, that's a big part. I'm not proud of that, but it is. Many trophy hunters are addicted because of that. I think we force ourselves too often to do things we don't want to, just to say we've completed a list, and completionists are even deeper in it. And I'm very happy that I'm not not a completionist in a way, that I don't have to play and complete every game I start. And I think to close this off, I do want to believe that I'm not judging people, but I do judge people. I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Right. Okay. Let's end this here. This was too controversial. Let's not dig the hole deeper than it already is. Thank you so much, Maud, for being here.
Thank you, Maud.
Thank you both for having me. Thanks.
Yeah, we have a lot of fun talking to you, and besides the technical difficulties, it was a super enjoyable, fun talk. And guys,
always a pleasure.
Yeah, I think we got a good insight into all of the areas, and it turned better out than I was expecting. Jahanza, will you lead us out with the usual stuff?
I will. Guys, thanks a lot for watching our podcast and sending in your questions. Do us a favor, please hit the like button and consider subscribing if you're enjoying these episodes. We're going to leave a link to Mode 47's wonderful YouTube channel in the description, so go check out his channel. It's awesome. And as always, thanks a lot for watching, and see you guys on the next episode.
Bye, guys.
Bye for now.